Hey everybody, and welcome to our deep dive on the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Ooh, spooky.
Yeah.
Perfect timing for this, too.
Right.
Right before Halloween.
Yeah, we're going to take a trip back in time
Okay.
to the late 1700s and
Right.
kind of break down this story like,
Okay.
you're getting ready for a literature exam or
Oh, nice.
something like that.
I like it.
So, the legend of Sleepy Hollow,
Yeah.
when you think about this story, what comes to mind first?
Well, first of all, the thing that's so cool about this is it's early American history, but it has like that classic folklore feel.
Right.
It's like this blend.
Yeah, it's like he almost like invented spooky,
Yeah.
like Irving.
Yeah.
So it was published in 1820, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And it's become one of those stories that's like just woven into our culture.
Absolutely.
I think especially around Halloween.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a lot more to it
Oh, yeah.
than just like, absolutely.
Spooky fun.
It gives us incredible insights into early American life and literature.
Yeah.
It's like a time capsule.
So let's start with our main character,
Okay.
Ichabod Crane.
Right.
So picture this guy, super lanky,
yeah.
kind of awkward schoolmaster, huge appetite,
Yeah.
always hungry,
Loves his food.
and a head just full of ghost stories.
And superstitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is definitely driven by ambition, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's this ambition that's like constantly wrestling with his fears and superstitions, which makes him such a fascinating character to study.
Yeah. So he's kind of this outsider.
He is.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not from Sleepy Hollow.
That's right.
And he doesn't quite fit in with everybody else.
Exactly. And that outsider theme, you see that again and again in American literature.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It's like this recurring character archetype.
Yeah.
You think about Hester Prynne in Scarlet Letter.
Holden Caulfield and Catcher in the Rye,
Right.
they all struggle to find their place in the world.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah.
So where does Sleepy Hollow itself
Yeah.
fit into all of this?
Well, Irving really creates this vivid picture of this secluded little glen,
Right.
It's steeped in this almost magical, or I guess you could say enchanted
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah, he makes it like the perfect setting
Oh, for sure.
for a ghost story.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the fog rolling in,
Totally.
hear the
Yeah.
leaves rustling just from his descriptions.
Exactly. But what's really interesting is how he grounds the story in like historical reality.
Oh, okay.
So remember, this takes place after the Revolutionary War in an area that was once occupied by Hessian soldiers.
Okay.
So
those Hessian soldiers, they play a part in this story.
yeah, they add to the whole creepy vibe,
Okay.
especially when we get to the most famous character of all,
Yeah.
the Headless Horseman.
Right.
Yeah.
The Headless Horseman.
Chills.
Yeah, just hearing that name.
It's such a powerful image, this
Right.
ghostly figure forever searching for his lost head.
Yeah, and Irving's so clever with how he introduces him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, picture this Ichabod's at a party,
Yeah.
everyone's swapping ghost stories,
Yeah.
and bam,
Yeah.
the legend of the Headless Horseman comes up.
Classic.
Textbook suspense building.
Yeah.
He uses the setting, the folklore,
Right.
and even the characters' anxieties to just really crank up that feeling of dread.
Okay, so we've got this spooky atmosphere,
Yeah.
this outsider schoolmaster,
Mm-hmm.
and a legendary Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Well, this wouldn't be a good story without a little bit of romance.
Right.
Would it?
Okay.
Enter Katrina Van Tassel,
All right.
the beautiful, wealthy daughter of a prominent farmer.
I see where this is going.
You got it.
Ichabod's got his eye on her,
He does.
doesn't he? And of course, there's a rival for her affections.
Right.
Big, strong prankster type named Abraham Brombones Van Brunt.
So this is not just like,
This is not your typical love triangle, no.
okay,
This is a clash of personalities and social standing.
so Ichabod sees Katrina as his ticket to
Yeah.
wealth and status.
Yeah.
And Brom is already part of that
He
in
is.
her circle.
Exactly. And it's this rivalry that really sets the stage for what's to come.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And Brom's no fool.
Right.
He knows how to play the game.
Right.
So instead of like going head to head with Ichabod,
Mm.
he uses his knowledge of local legends, particularly the Headless Horseman, to just totally freak him out.
So this story's not just about ghosts and goblins?
No.
It's about how people use stories and rumors to, like, get what they want.
Precisely. And this is something that Irving does really well. He shows how these stories, even if they're not true, can have a very real impact on people's lives.
Okay, so I'm guessing Brahms' little mind games?
Yes.
They lead to that famous chase scene.
You know it. Picture this Ichabod, all alone, riding through the woods at night.
Yeah.
Convinced that the headless horseman is on his tail.
Like, that is scary.
Oh, it's pure cinematic gold even back then.
Irving's descriptions are so vivid.
Oh, yeah.
You can practically feel, like, the chill in the air.
Yes.
Hear those hoofbeats pounding.
Oh, yeah.
Closer and closer.
It's like he invented spooky.
So then,
what happens? And then comes the climax at the bridge.
Okay.
Horseman hurls his head.
What?
Ichabod disappears. Poof. Gone.
So we'd never find out what happened to him?
Nope. Irving leaves the ending wide open.
Really?
Yeah. Did the horseman get him?
Wow.
Was it all a prank by Brahm? Did Ichabod run away to start a new life?
He just leaves us hanging.
We just don't know.
So what's the point of that?
Well,
like, what's the point of the ambiguous ending?
It's actually one of the things that makes the story so compelling.
Okay.
It forces you to think for yourself. What do you think happened to Ichabod?
Right.
And what does that say about how you interpret the world?
I see what you mean.
Yeah?
It's like he's inviting us to be a part of the story.
Exactly.
To come up with our own ending.
And that makes it much more than just a ghost story.
Right.
The legend of Sleepy Hollow is full of these layers.
Okay.
So there's the historical context. Remember, this is post-Revolutionary War, America.
Right.
A young nation still figuring things out.
And we talked about that outsider.
Yeah. Yeah, with Ichabod.
With Ichabod.
But there's more.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Headless Horseman himself.
Okay.
He's not just some random spooky figure.
Okay.
He's a Hessian soldier, a symbol of the war that's just ended.
So he represents the past coming back to haunt the present.
Exactly. And think about his missing head. He's constantly searching for something that he can never find.
Right.
He's incomplete.
But isn't that kind of like Ichabod too? A little bit.
That's a brilliant observation. It's like the horseman embodies all of those things that are missing in Ichabod's life.
Right.
Stability, belonging, a sense of wholeness.
Wow, this is getting deep.
And there's even more to unpack.
Right.
Remember how we talked about storytelling?
Oh.
And how Irving uses it to, like, reveal character and create suspense?
Yeah, like those spooky stories they're telling at the party.
Yes.
Right before the horseman shows up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The legend of Sleepy Hollow is almost like a story within a story.
Okay.
Irving is playing with this idea of how we use narratives to make sense of the world.
Right.
To confront our fears, even to manipulate each other.
It's like a whole commentary on the power of storytelling.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so rich for analysis.
Okay.
You've got the historical context,
Yeah.
the social dynamics of a small town, the psychological complexity of the characters, and this overarching exploration of how stories shape our reality.
Wow. So we've got like this amazing blend of history and folklore and psychology.
Yeah.
And literary artistry.
It's all packed in.
All packed into this one short story.
Yeah.
It's no wonder that this thing is still so popular.
I know.
You know, centuries later.
And let's not forget how entertaining it is.
Right.
Irving's writing is so witty and charming, even when he's describing something spooky. There's this like undercurrent of humor that just keeps you hooked.
Yeah. And Ichabod is kind of a lovable klutz.
Yes.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's ambitious and maybe a little greedy, but you can't help but feel for the guy.
Totally. He's relatable.
Yeah.
He's flawed.
Right.
And he makes us laugh even as we're like on the edge of our seats wondering what's going to happen to him.
So if we're thinking about this story from like a literary perspective, what are some of the key takeaways for like, say, a student studying American literature?
First and foremost, the legend of Sleepy Hollow is a prime example of American Romanticism, which was this movement in literature and art that celebrated imagination, emotion, and the individual's relationship to nature.
So we see that.
Oh, yeah.
In Sleepy Hollow.
Big time.
The spooky atmosphere.
Yeah.
Larger-than-life characters. That sense of mystery.
Yes.
And wonder that kind of like goes through the whole thing.
Exactly.
And then there's the outsider theme that we talked about. This idea that the individual is struggling to find their place in society.
It's deep in American literature.
How about that open ending?
Oh, yeah.
Is there something to be said about that from a literary standpoint?
Absolutely. It's a brilliant technique that forces the reader to become like an active participant in the story.
Okay.
we're left to ponder the possibilities, to come up with our own interpretations.
Right.
It just makes it so much more thought-provoking and memorable.
So we've covered a lot here.
We have.
History, folklore symbolism, literary techniques. But what does it all mean?
That's the big question.
Why should we still care about this story? Over 200 years later?
Because the legend of Sleepy Hollow speaks to something universal.
Okay.
It taps into our fear of the unknown, our desires for love and acceptance, and our fascination with the power of stories.
It's a reminder that we all have our own headless horseman.
Ooh, I like that.
Those anxieties or fears that we carry with us.
And maybe confronting those fears head on, like Ichabod did, is the first step to overcoming them.
Right.
Even if it means leaving behind everything we thought we knew and starting fresh.
That's a powerful thought to leave us with.
It is.
The legend of Sleepy Hollow is a story that stays with you.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
For sure.
And maybe even inspires you to face your own demons.
And in the end, isn't that the mark of truly great literature? It entertains us, challenges us, and ultimately leaves us changed in some small way.
So there you have it.
There you go.
Your deep dive into the legend of Sleepy Hollow.
A
classic American tale that continues to haunt and delight us. Generations later.